Okay, the yard sites for tonight, the 18th of Tammuz, Morris Bodker, Joseph Feingold, Lillian Kreichman, William Pessman, Ben Salwinski, and Chaya Takach. May their memory be for a blessing, our study of Mishnah in their memory. We are up to chapter 4, Mishnah 21. Rabbi Eliezer HaKapar Omer, and this is the second to last Mishnah in chapter 4. Okay, Rabbi Eliezer HaKapar Omer, Hakina v'hataiva v'hakavod motziin asa'adam mina olam. Rabbi Eliezer HaKapar said, envy, lust, and honor take a man out of the world. Okay, so a nice short Mishnah. So let's unpack these three things that remove you from the world, and what does it mean to remove you from the world? So one is envy. Now it's interesting, the 10th commandment, which is something significant about that number 10 out of 10, meaning that's how the 10 commandments sign off. Perhaps there's something especially fundamental about that, is lo tachmod, do not covet that which belongs to your neighbor, either his possessions or their spouse, right? But that's a slightly different word that I was thinking about. Lo tachmod in the first version of the Ten Commandments. There's going to be a second version that we read in a few weeks of the second set of tablets after Moshe smashes the first. God gives him, after witnessing the worship of the golden calf, God gives him a second set and actually makes some changes. But the first version says, lo tachmod, do not covet. And do not covet means that you want that thing for yourself. You know, I see his car. Wow, he's got a really nice Ferrari. I wish I had one. The word here in this Mishnah is interesting. It means envy. Envy is a little different. It's almost worse. You don't even want it for yourself. You're just jealous that he has it, right? It's kind of funny. It's like you can understand coveting a little bit more. I wish I had that. There's a self-interest involved. When it comes to envy, it's really just jealousy and resentment, which is in some ways is even worse. You know, I resent that he has that Ferrari. He doesn't deserve that. That's how you could say what envy means is that I sort of feel bad that I don't have that. I don't tangibly want it. I just feel bad that I don't have it and he does. So that removes you from the world, meaning it removes you from being able to function. It's just going to fill you with resentment and paralyze you emotionally, and you won't be able to be productive in this world, which is what Judaism is all about. We've seen that right to repair the world, we want to do mitzvahs and study Torah and become scholars and do good deeds. And you can't have these things removing you from productivity, from being a productive member of society. Okay, the second thing here is lust, hataiva. And interestingly, do not covet in the second version of the Ten Commandments in Deuteronomy says lo titaveh, which means sort of do not lust after. That's how you can translate it. Do not lust after something. So that seems to mean that the commentaries talk about this a bit, that it's not the 10th commandment is not necessarily just an emotional thing that I wish I had that, but if you actually take steps to take it from that person, you know, to lust after the guy's Ferrari could be to knock on his door and say, I'll give you, I'll give you an offer you can't refuse. Not purposely quoting The Godfather. I don't mean using violence, but I'll give you a great offer if you sell that to me. That's sort of lusting after someone's things inappropriately, taking action to take it. Anyway, here it's the second thing that removes you from the world. Lust, probably in this context, the word by default means sexual lust. It's going to remove you from the world too, right? You're just going to be overwhelmed with this base animalistic emotion. You won't be able to be productive. It's not what being a higher order person is about. And finally, v'hakavod. Honor is something that removes you from the world. So that's interesting. I would have thought that this means chasing after honor, but it doesn't say that. That would fall into envy, sort of, and lust. You envy and lust after honor. But here it says honor itself. I think that's a very important distinction. When you actually achieve honor, that removes you from the world. That's kind of scary. Kavod is bad. Why? Because it'll get to your head, and then people who have honor are desperate to try to maintain the honor. The Kahati quotes Rabbi Eliezer HaKapar has a statement in Avos to Rabbi Nassan: "Do not be like a high lintel which people cannot touch. A high up doorpost that no one can touch. That's like someone who has a lot of honor. But rather like the threshold beneath on which everyone tramples. But in the end, when the whole building collapses, it remains in its place." Kind of beautiful. Everyone tramples on the doormat, so be very humble. Metaphors, you have to be careful. I don't think this means be taken advantage of, God forbid. Just be very humble. And when the rest of the building collapses, the doormat is still there. So, when you reach a high height, you might fall down and get hurt all the more. So that's why honor removes you from the world. You don't need kavod. You don't need honor. And traditionally, we say the Gedolim, the greatest figures in Jewish history, the greatest rabbis, are the ones who who run away from honor, and they take it because they have to, because they're great scholars and everyone wants them to be a leader, but they're exceedingly humble. They don't even want the honor. So honor is bad. Okay, now I thought you could classify these three things as sort of three different parts of the human personality. That envy is a psychological, emotional desire, lust is a physical desire, and then honor is a sort of a desire of the ego. I guess the first one you could say envy is emotion, lust is physical, honor is ego. The ego and emotion could be slightly different. But anyway, I'm still sort of developing that, just thinking out loud in terms of how to classify these as three different things. Um, Now, there's a powerful proof text about honor that Rabbeinu Yonah quotes. He says that Joseph was the 11th out of 12 sons of Jacob, right? They sold him into slavery. He goes to Egypt. He becomes the second in command of all of Egypt, and he's basically the vice president of Egypt. And the end of the Torah, we see that Joseph dies before his brothers. Um, Commentaries ask, he has 10 older brothers. Why did he die young? And it's kind of scary. They say because he was in a position of power, he had honor, and power and honor kill you. It's very stressful. So that's why he died. Well, he was 110, but back then that was younger than everyone else, or at least than his brothers. And I always point out, you see pictures of presidents of the United States. They start out looking young and vigorous, and then they leave with gray hair 4 or 8 years later. They look more than 8 years older, right? The stress and the honor really take a lot out of them. That's sort of always how it looks. Okay, now the Kahati commentary also compares this to a previous statement of Rabbi Yehoshua, who said three other things take you out from the world. Rabbi Yehoshua said, the evil eye, the evil urge, and hatred of mankind remove you from the world. Rabbi Elazar says, envy, lust, and honor. So he connects them. Tosfos Yom Tov does. He quotes the Tosfos Yom Tov connecting these things, that Rabbi Elazar is maybe a commentary in Rabbi Yehoshua. The evil eye is like envy. So envy is what results from having an evil eye and looking at everything with nefarious intention. You look at it and then have envy. The evil urge relates to lust. It really fits perfectly to satisfy your evil urge. And finally, hatred of mankind relates to honor. That's really sort of profound, that you hate everyone else and resent their honor, and that's why you want honor. I deserve it, they don't. That's how these three things from these two different rabbis, the three things that remove you from the world, are really connected to each other. Once again, Rabbi Yehoshua had put it, the evil eye, the evil urge, and hatred of mankind. And Rabbi Elazar HaKapar puts it, envy, lust, and honor, which are sort of the results of the underlying attributes that Rabbi Yehoshua had said. So really always interesting when the commentaries tease out these connections that we wouldn't necessarily notice. Okay, so we could say the Malay. El Malay Rachamim Shochein Bamiromim Hamitzei Menucha Nechon Al Kanfei HaShechina B'Malos Kedoshim B'Tahorim Kazar Harakia Mazhirim Es Nishmos Kol Haskaros Shel Halayla Shel Chuli Olamam Ba'avur Shemispalim Bad Haskaras Nishmasam B'Gan Eden Tehem Menuchasam Lachein Bal Harachmim Yastireim B'Seiser Kenafav Liolamim Yitzror B'Tzorachayim Es Nishmasam Adonai Unachlasam Yanuchu B'Shalom Mishvasam and Amar Amen. And in English, O God, full of mercy, who dwells on high, grant proper rest on the wings of the divine presence in the lofty levels of the holy and pure, who shine like the glow of the firmament, for the souls of Morris Bodker, Joseph Feingold, Lillian Kreichman, William Pessman, Ben Salwinski, and Chaya Takach, in whose memory we study and pray. May their resting place be in the Garden of Eden. Therefore, may the Master of Mercy shelter them in the shelter of his wings for eternity. May he bind their soul in the bond of life. Hashem is their heritage. May they rest in peace. And let us say Amen.